If you're working a W-2 job and you genuinely believe that working harder is the fastest path to becoming a millionaire, I need to tell you something most people don't want to hear. Your job wasn't designed to make you rich. It was designed to make you useful. And that's not an insult. It's just how the system works. In a typical job, you're not paid purely based on the value you create. You're paid based on salary bands, budgets, headcount plans, and whatever HR policy says is fair this year. You can double your output, take on more responsibility, become the top performer, and still get the same 3% to 10% raise as everyone else because the company has a pay range and you're inside it. So today, I'm going to break down three things. First, why jobs have a built-in income ceiling that almost nobody talks about. Second, why you can't save your way to $1 million fast, no matter how disciplined you are. And third, the most realistic roadmap I'd follow if I was starting from scratch in the US today, and my goal was to hit 1 million in net worth as fast as possible. Before we go any further, we have to define what becoming a millionaire fast actually means, because most people are talking about two completely different things. When I say millionaire, I mean $1 million in net worth. That's your assets minus your liabilities. So cash, investments, retirement accounts, maybe equity in a business or real estate, minus your debts. That is very different from saying, I make $1 million a year. A lot of people online confuse those on purpose because $1 million income sounds flashy. But $1 million income doesn't automatically make you a millionaire if you're spending it all, paying huge taxes, or carrying big debt. And on the other side, you can absolutely be a millionaire in net worth without earning anywhere near 1 million a year if you build assets consistently. Now, the word fast matters too. If you're expecting to go from 0 to 1 million in 12 months because someone on TikTok showed a screenshot, that's not a plan. That's entertainment. For most normal people starting from scratch, fast is more like 3 to 7 years. Still aggressive, still life-changing, but realistic enough that you can actually execute it. And quick disclaimer before we continue. This is for education and inspiration only. I'm not your financial advisor, I don't know your personal situation, and nothing in this video is individualized financial advice. All right, here's truth number one. This is the part your job will never say out loud. A job is a capped game. In a W-2 job, you're basically making a trade, your time and your skills in exchange for a paycheck. And the most important detail is this. You don't set the price. Your employer does. Let's make it real with a simple example. Say you make $60,000 a year. That's a solid income. If you're a high performer and you get what most people would call a great raise, let's say 10% to 15%, you're now at $66,000 to $69,000. Do that consistently. Get promoted. Keep leveling up. After 5 strong years, you might be at $90,000, maybe $105,000 if everything goes your way. That's excellent. That's a better life. That's more options. But here's the problem. It's still not millionaire fast momentum because your income is still moving in small, controlled steps. And the reason is structural. Most companies operate with compensation bands, pay ranges for each level. Even if you double your output, you usually don't double your pay because the company isn't paying you for output. They're paying you for your role. Your performance might move you up within the band or get you to the next band, but it's still a band. And even when you do get raises, inflation and taxes take a bite. A $10,000 raise doesn't feel like $10,000 in your pocket. By the time federal taxes, state taxes, and higher living costs hit, the real increase is smaller than people think. So here's the punchline. Write this down. A job can build stability. It rarely builds speed. If your goal is to become a millionaire quickly, you need to understand that you're playing a game where the rules were designed to limit upside. Now let's hit truth number 2, because this is where a lot of smart, disciplined people get stuck. You can't save your way to $1 million quickly. And I know that sounds backward because every personal finance tip on earth starts with, cut your expenses. So what do most people do when they decide they want to get rich? They cancel subscriptions. They stop eating out. They feel guilty about every coffee. They start doing that whole latte guilt thing. Like the reason they're not wealthy is because they bought guac once. Here's the reality. Saving has a ceiling. You can only cut so far. You can't cut rent below zero. You can't stop eating. You can't cancel your car insurance and just hope for the best. There's a floor to your expenses, and most people hit it faster than they think. Let's do simple math. If you save $500 a month, that's $6,000 a year. That's good. That's disciplined. That's more than most people. But even if you kept that up for 10 years, that's $60,000. And yes, investing helps. But the core point still stands. Saving alone is not a fast track to $1 million unless your income is already very high. And this is the trap. People spend years squeezing their budget, thinking they're doing the right thing. But the truth is, they're focusing on the part of the equation that moves the slowest. So here's the transition that changes everything. Saving is defense. Getting rich fast requires offense. Defense matters. You need it so you don't blow up your finances. But the fastest way to build wealth is not just cutting costs. It's increasing the amount of money you can bring in and then turning that into assets. All right, this is the part that sounds almost too simple, but it explains why some people break out financially and most people don't. Say it with me, clearly. Wealth equals income minus expenses. That's it. That's the formula. But here's what happens in real life. Most people get obsessed with the expenses side. They treat money like a diet. Cut, cut, cut. They track every little purchase. They optimize coupons. They debate whether they deserve a $12 lunch. And look, being mindful of spending is good. It's responsible. But it's also the side of the equation with the smallest upside, because you can only cut so much before you hit that floor we just talked about. Millionaires, especially the ones who got there faster, play a different game. They focus aggressively on the income side, not because they're reckless, but because income can be scaled. Income can be multiplied. Income can be uncapped, if you build it the right way. So the goal isn't just to live smaller forever. The goal is to create a wider gap between what you earn and what you spend, then convert that gap into assets. Let me put it in one sentence. You don't get rich by having a smaller lifestyle. You get rich by building a bigger gap. Now here's truth number 3, and this is the one that separates comfortable from wealthy fast. Fast wealth usually comes from uncapped income and leverage, because if you want speed, you need to be in a game where your upside isn't capped by a salary band, a manager, or the number of hours you can physically work. In a job, your income is mostly linear. You put in time, you get paid. Maybe you get a raise. Maybe you get a promotion, but it's still controlled. To build wealth quickly, you need leverage, meaning your results can grow faster than your hours. And there are basically 3 big levers people use to do that. Number 1, equity and ownership. That could be owning shares of a company, profit sharing, stock options, RSUs, anything where you benefit from the growth of an asset you own, not just wages you earn. Ownership is powerful because value can compound without you working more hours. Number 2, business, especially a scalable business. Not a business where you're just self-employed and doing everything yourself. I mean something that can grow beyond your personal time. A business where you can increase revenue without your calendar being the bottleneck. Number 3, scalable assets. This is where people really underestimate what's possible. Products, systems, content, intellectual property, things you can create once and sell or benefit from repeatedly. A digital product, a membership, a course, a software tool, even a content engine that brings customers to you while you sleep. The point is, it doesn't require you to start over every time you want to make money. Now I have to be honest here. Entrepreneurship isn't for everyone. Some people want stability, benefits, predictable hours. And that's totally valid. But if your goal is specifically fast, you need leverage. There's no way around it. Here's the best analogy I can give you. A job is like being a cog in someone else's machine. You can become a better cog, and you can get paid more. But you're still inside their machine. Ownership and systems are different. That's when you build the machine. And once you have a machine, it can keep producing value even when you're not actively pushing every button yourself. That's the real difference between stability and speed. So if you're thinking, okay, leverage makes sense, but what do I actually do if I'm starting from zero? This is the realistic roadmap I'd follow in the US today. Not a fantasy, not a quit your job tomorrow plan. A plan that works if you're normal, busy, and you still have bills. Step 1. Don't get wiped out. First 0 to 30 days. Before you talk about becoming a millionaire, you need to make sure one surprise expense doesn't knock you out of the game. Start with a simple target, a $1,000 emergency buffer. Not because it's magical, because it stops small emergencies from turning into credit card debt. Then, build toward 1 to 3 months of expenses as your next milestone. That gives you breathing room, reduces stress, and lets you make smarter decisions instead of desperate ones. At the same time, you want to kill high-interest debt, especially credit cards. If you're paying 20% to 30% APR, you're basically trying to fill a bucket with a hole in it. That kind of debt doesn't just slow you down, it bleeds you. Step 2. Increase active income fast. Days 30 to 180. Once you're stable enough to think clearly, your next move is to raise the ceiling. In the US, there are 3 practical ways most people can boost income faster than waiting for annual raises. First, job hop strategically. In many industries, switching companies is the quickest way to get a meaningful pay bump. Loyalty feels good, but the market often pays more than your current employer does. Second, negotiate. Negotiate your base, yes, but also negotiate the full package. Bonus, RSUs, benefits, and remote flexibility. A lot of people leave thousands on the table because they feel awkward asking. Third, skill stack. Pick one high-value skill that the market pays well for, like data, finance, engineering, design, or anything with strong demand. Then pair it with one leverage skill, like sales, marketing, or automation/AI. That combination is what turns you from replaceable into highly paid. Step 3. Build scalable side income. Months 3 to 12. Now we build the leverage engine without needing to gamble your life savings. Start with low-friction options that can scale over time. Option 1. A productized service. A fixed offer for a fixed price with a clear outcome. Instead of custom work for everyone, you sell one specific result, like, I edit 4 short-form videos per week for creators, or I set up a basic CRM plus email automation for local businesses. Clear, repeatable, easy to sell. Option 2. A simple digital product. A template, a guide, a workshop, a mini course. Something you create once and sell repeatedly. It doesn't have to be huge. It just has to solve one problem for one audience. Option 3. Content plus lead gen. YouTube, TikTok, and an email list. Content is not just influencer stuff, it's an asset. If your content brings people to you consistently, it becomes a pipeline that works even when you're not actively pitching. And here's the key. The goal in year 1 isn't perfection. The goal is to build a system where your income has a path to becoming uncapped. Now, quick warning, because this is where a lot of people try to start a business and accidentally build themselves a second job. It's what I call the company of one trap. A lot of business owners become employees without benefits. No health insurance, no paid time off, no guaranteed paycheck. Just you doing everything all the time. Here are the signs you're trapped. 1. You do everything. You're the person delivering the service, doing the admin, replying to emails, sending invoices, chasing payments, posting on social media, doing the marketing, handling customer support. And then you wonder why you're exhausted. 2. Your income only grows if your hours grow. If you take a day off, money stops. If you get sick, money stops. If you go on vacation, your business basically pauses. That's not leverage. That's just self-employment with extra stress. So let's reframe the goal, because this is the mindset shift that separates a freelancer from a true business owner. The goal isn't more work. The goal is more capacity. Capacity means your business can handle more clients, more sales, and more revenue without requiring more of your personal time. That's when your income starts to feel uncapped. That's when you stop being the worker and start being the owner. So how do you actually break out of that trap and start scaling like a real owner? It comes down to three moves: systems, outsourcing, and investing. First, systems. This is the unsexy part, but it's the difference between chaos and scale. You need SOPs, standard operating procedures, so the business can run the same way every time. You need templates for onboarding, proposals, and follow-ups. And you need automations wherever possible. Automated scheduling, canned email responses, invoice reminders, payment links, anything that removes repetitive decision-making from your day. Because the goal is simple: fewer tasks that require your brain, and more processes that run on rails. Second, outsourcing. A lot of people wait too long because they think, no one can do it as well as me. But that mindset keeps you capped. Start with low-value, high-time tasks: video editing, basic admin, design, formatting, data entry, scheduling. Things that take you hours but don't actually require your unique skill set. Buying back your time is one of the fastest ways to increase capacity, and capacity is what creates leverage. Third, investing. While you're building and scaling income, you still want your money working in the background. That's where index funds and retirement accounts come in. Things like a 401k, Roth IRA, or a taxable brokerage account depending on your situation. Think of investing like your background engine. It's not the fastest way to get rich in 12 months, but it is one of the most reliable ways to compound wealth while you focus on growing the income side. So the formula is: build systems to stop the chaos, outsource to increase capacity, and invest to make sure your money is working even when you aren't.